Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of the day it is for you. I'm Eva Marie Everson. I am the president of Word Weavers International and the director of Florida Christian Writers Conference. And I have to be honest, I actually had to pause there. I wasn't sure who I was because we've done several of these now. But I do know one thing. My favorite cohort is right here with us, and she is...
Hello, I'm Taryn Souders, and I'm the Vice President of Word Weavers International, and I am the co-director of the Florida Christian Writers Conference. And today we have with us Lynn Austin from Michigan, I just learned. Lynn, I would love it if you would tell us a little bit about yourself and about your latest release, Long Way Home.
Well, I've been writing for a very long time. I think I counted 28 novels and 2 novellas and 2 nonfiction books. So that's been a lot. I think I've been writing probably 30 some years. Took me a while to get published, but from the time I started writing till my first book got published was about 11 years. And I've been going at it ever since.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you show us show us. Oh, it's so pretty.
My latest book is called Long Way Home. It just came out in June, and it talks about the aftermath of World War II. Mm-hmm. When I was researching 2 novels about World War II, I kept running into information about so many soldiers came home with what would now be called PTSD, but at the time it was unrecognized. And so I wanted to honor all these unspoken heroes who just came home and were told by the doctors to just get on with your life. Mm-hmm. And so this is a story of 2 soldiers eventually, and the friends who come together to try to help them when the medical community really didn't have a whole lot to offer back then in the 1940s.
Sure. Yeah. Well, and let me just say that Lynn is one of the most brilliant writers I have ever read. I have often said that if she wrote a grocery list, I would read. Her word choices are just beyond. And I remember because I was a fan for a long, long time, and I truly read everything that you write, except the grocery list. That I can't help you. But the first time I met you face to face, we were at a conference, I believe, in Washington or in Oregon. We were in Oregon.
Yeah.
Yes. And we're about to have dinner, and I sat down at my table or whatever. And you walked up to me and you said, "Do you mind if I sit next to you?" And I was like, what? So this was like a huge moment for me, Lynn. I have to tell you that. And Lynn, you were the first recipient of a special award through the Christies. Can you just talk about that for just a moment?
Well, I think they kind of grandfathered me out. I won so many, and somebody said, "You're the Meryl Streep of the Christie Awards." Winning them, and it got a little embarrassing after a while. So they created the Lifetime Achievement Award or something like that.
Yes,
I don't remember what it was called for Christie. So they sort of gave me this award and said, "You're not getting any more." So,
you cannot enter ever again.
Which was fine.
Give us other novelists a chance. But also Jim Rubart, who is a dear friend of ours, and hopefully we'll be there. We'll be at the Florida conference within the next couple of years. He is also a recipient of that.
Okay.
Well, so he won so many. He had to stop entering. So we have you coming in this year, not only to teach our fiction track, but also you're coming in for the fiction intensive, which is the day before the conference actually begins. It's all day Wednesday, and you will be keynoting for us that day during the lunch hour. Can you tell us a little bit about the continuing class that you will be teaching then, beginning on Thursday and running through Sunday?
The continuing class is on writing fiction. And I called it What Editors and Readers Want, because, you have to please them both. And so it's really all about the essential ingredients of fiction. And, you feel a little bit like one of those circus entertainers there's all these parts of fiction, plot and characters and setting. And you like that guy at the circus with the plates. And you got to keep them all spinning, you know,
Right.
like throughout the novel, you've got to be conscious of all those things. So I'm going to be talking about how to have a captivating plot that will keep readers turning pages, because that's what you want. You know, you don't want, after about the third chapter, they say, forget this. And compelling characters who just come to life. I like to create characters that readers will think about afterwards. And I love it when I get letters saying, well, what happened to them after the end of the book? You know, that's real. But, you know, I usually write off a letter or something about, oh, they got married, was happily ever after. You know. But
my answer is usually, what do you think happened?
Yeah, I tried that. But you're the writer.
What do you think happened? Yeah.
So you really want those compelling characters that readers just can't forget. And a continuing conflict. Like, you know, it can't be like The Perils of Pauline, where, you know, she's tied to the railroad tracks and then the villain carries her off, and, you know, but real conflict, like real, what does the character want? What is she willing to do to get it? And what obstacles stand in her way? And it's keeping that going, that continuing conflict to the end. And how is that conflict going to change her in the end? How to keep that tension going. Also, one thing that's very important is a consistent point of view. And this is something that beginning readers don't often get. And like, is it going to be an omniscient point of view, a first person point of view, a second person point of view? How many points of view are you going to incorporate? Is it good to have a lot? Is it not good to have a lot? So just figuring that all out, that's something that I think is fundamental before you even start writing the book, is whose point of view is this going to be?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And a vivid setting that readers can see and hear and feel. And the thing I'm doing for the intensive, fiction intensive, is researching how to research a historical novel. And most of my books, I think all of my books, are historical. And so the setting is very important.
Very.
But sometimes you can get too buried under details because you've done all that research and you want to throw it all in there because you know it all. And so it's like, how do you pick those perfect ingredients, the things of the setting that are going to be memorable, and let the rest go. And sometimes the setting of a novel can be almost a character itself.
This is true. Absolutely.
I love
you're speaking to two Southern writers, and a Southern town. It's most definitely its own character.
Oh,
exactly. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, how to make all those choices for setting. And I'm going to talk a little bit about dialogue and how to give a distinctive voice to each of your characters. And then a Christian worldview, because I think as Christian writers, we need to, I mean, we all write from a Christian worldview. Every author writes from their worldview. Mine just happens to be a Christian worldview. And so deciding how much of your faith, how much of your worldview you want to weave in there. There's some books where it's in the background. And there's some books where, you know, you feel like you've been preached to by the time you're done, which isn't always a good thing. And so, you know, figuring out, I think, each individual author, how you're going to integrate that worldview into your writing. And then I'm also going to talk a little bit about that all important first page, first chapter, to grab your readers. I'm going to be giving some examples, how they can do it. So I'm asking them to bring along the novel in progress. Good. And there will be some, I like to do some hands-on things, maybe some homework, and then we'll share with each other in class if some of the things that I'm teaching. So
take note, anyone who is thinking of taking Lynn's class at the Florida conference, you will want to bring that work in progress. We call it if we can speak at all. And you'll want to bring that with you, whether that's obviously in your laptop or some printed pages or something like that. But I had a situation with my last published novel, which was Dust, came out last year. And I hated the first page. And I kept taking it to my Word Weavers group and we would work it and all this. And I still hate my first page, you know, it's critical. And finally, I just settled. I settled on it and sent it out to a few of our friends to endorse. And Rachel Houck sent me, she and I are good friends. She's a Floridian as well. And she contacted me and she said, I just love this book. I hate the first page. I hate the first page. And she and I got on the phone and we reworked that thing.
Oh,
I loved my first page. That's a good friend for you. So to have Lynn Austin standing helping you work your first page, that's going to be a blessing for everyone who takes
I
it.
always think of Snoopy there on his little typewriter. It was a dark and stormy night.
Lynn, one of the things that I found really interesting what you said when we were talking about at the beginning is that you've been writing for a long time, but it took you 11 years to get that first book published. Yeah. And I think that's a great nugget for people to come into a conference knowing is you might be writing and it's not necessarily going to happen overnight. It is a process, and sometimes it's a really slow process. So, but look where you are now, obviously. So that's actually encouragement. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and Lynn's keynote on Wednesday is going to be about that very first rejection, but she calls it her trash bag. I think that's right. The garbage. Right. Yes. We won't go into that now. You just have to show up to hear this story, but it's so encouraging and inspiring. And I can't wait to hear it again. I've heard it now twice, and I'm looking forward to hearing it the third time.
Yeah.
Okay, Lynn, are you ready for the lightning round?
Sure.
Okay, we're going to ask you a series of questions. Don't think, just answer.
All right.
Dogs or cats?
Cats.
Tea or coffee?
Coke or Pepsi?
Pepsi. You want to know my reasons why all these things?
If you want to tell us, you can.
My dad worked for Pepsi Cola, and if anybody brought a Coke product into the house, he poured it on the drain.
That's awesome. Okay, how about mornings or evenings?
Morning.
Mountains or beach?
That's a tough one. I love mountains, but I live by a beach. So I'll have to say mountains because visiting them.
Different, yeah.
What is your favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Okay, you're having dinner with a famous person, alive or dead, but it's not Jesus. Who is it?
Probably a writer like William Shakespeare or somebody, really, I love William Shakespeare because his books have every single plot known to man, and the whole gamut of characters. And
I think if I was having dinner with William Shakespeare, my first question would be, okay, so did you really write all this?
Well, yeah, there is that controversy.
Because there's always that, was it Sir Francis Bacon? Was it?
Yeah. But he spoke that old English stuff. I probably would need a translator.
Okay, so here's your final question. If you knew that tonight's meal was going to be your last, what would it include?
Dessert. It would just be all desserts. Go for it. Cheesecake, chocolate, everything.
Love it. That's great.
Well, you're the second person to answer that way. And ironically, both of you are very little. So I'm thinking, I must be doing, I know now what I'm doing wrong. I'm eating vegetables and good choices in protein. And fruits. I should have been eating desserts all along.
Well, bring on that cheesecake.
That's why if it was my last meal,
This is true. This is true. Well, thank you so much, Lynn, for joining us this week. If you want to know more about Florida Christian Writers Conference, you can go to word-weavers.com/Florida events. And that is all spelled out, Florida events. Again, word-weavers.com/Florida events. Now, a warning, we've been saying this, for the last couple of days in our interviews. We are running out of on-site rooms at the Florida conference. So if you want to come and you want to stay on site, go ahead and sign up today or as soon as possible. Don't worry, we do have a plan B, but you will not be on site for the whole, at night, you will not be on site. That is our plan B. We do have that for you. Again, Lynn, thank you so much for coming. And I know that there are a lot of fiction writers out there who are going to learn a tremendous amount under your tutelage while we are at the conference. So
I'm looking forward to it.
yes. All right, we'll say goodbye for now, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.